Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Dr. Mountain Hiesboeck. He is the head of research at Uphold to discuss U.S. versus the global state of cryptocurrency regulation. Dr. Hiesboeck, it is great to see you as always. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Thank you very much, Jill. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, great to see you. So let's talk about the current state of crypto. What are some of the high-level trends? What's top of mind for you right now?
Well, obviously, we've had on the traditional equity sector, we've got a bit of an AI hype that was fueled by the launch of ChatGPT, but the implications for blockchain are there. So there are lots of things you can do with artificial intelligence in blockchain. You can have human language as a basis for smart contract, which the AI then translates into code. You can solve the data availability problem that we have in blockchain. It's very hard to pull data into a blockchain. Of course, you have in trading, in finance, you're going to have artificial intelligence being used for price predictions, for portfolio management, and all that is happening in decentralized finance on the blockchain. So I think there are lots of synergies as yet undiscovered. These projects have yet to be built, but many big blockchain names are looking into AI as absolutely the major trend for the next few months.
Let's talk about the U.S. versus global state of regulation. It seems to be that we're a little bit behind here when it comes to putting a framework around this.
I wouldn't call it behind. I was a trade diplomat before I worked for Uphold. And throughout my career, I've always seen that the United States always takes a bit longer to make up their mind. But when they do, they come back with a roar and you usually capture the market. I wouldn't say behind. I would say the States has a very different view of how digital assets are regulated, whereas the rest of the world simply made a new category for crypto assets, as they are now called in Europe under the MiCA regulation. In the States, you're trying to fit everything into the old 1933 in the Securities Act and that sort of legal framework. And that's a bit odd for me. But it may have its advantages in the long run, right? We have a huge problem in crypto. We have to admit that. Not a week goes by without a major hack, without millions of dollars being lost on protocols and chains. And this entire somewhat originally anarchic crypto spirit is now being brought to heel by the fact that we want to do serious things on blockchain. We don't want to just be trading some hyped meme coin. We want to be really deployed decentralized finance. And that is not going to happen without a good cybersecurity framework. And so maybe using the old laws to rein in the new technology is not the worst thing. I'm absolutely sure the United States will make up their mind and come back roaring with good crypto regulation sooner or later.
Why do you think there is a challenge with putting digital assets underneath the existing umbrella?
Why is there a challenge? The biggest challenge that I've seen, and I've worked as a consultant even before Uphold for several central banks and the European Union, the basic problem is the understanding of the technology. If you are inside crypto and if you know what blockchain is and does and what decentralized DLT technology means, you have a very different view of how it should be regulated, whereas the regulators, as they are, stick to their remit and look at it with old eyes. And they're trying to be technology neutral, which is usually a good thing. The United States have always enacted technology neutral legislation. But in this case, the neutrality impacts on very, very large sums of money and the interests of very big existing financial firms who feel either threatened or ready to embrace the new technology.
Why not adopt a framework like MiCA, for example, in the United States? Or do you think if you look forward, it'll be a version that's perhaps similar to what you see with MiCA or might not even mimic it at all?
I would hope so. I would hope so. It's a little bit easier in Europe because we have lawmaking in Europe is essentially a bureaucratic process, a consultative process. Whereas in the US, it is unfortunately very often a political thing, where political camps fight over the right to decide the laws and with it the future agenda of their party. And that's not happening in Europe. And I would think it would be more difficult in the States to have something like MiCA, also because of the size and the number of regulatory bodies, right? You have state level. There are so many people who want to regulate in the States, who want to have a say. Whereas in Europe, we fortunately have a single framework and a single body that decides which laws to propose. I'm not exactly sure what the future will look like in the States, but they must come to an understanding. They must come to the realization that it really doesn't matter if something is a security or not. What is important is that you give companies access to this wonderful new technology. This is not just crypto for young people trading gaming coins. This is a technology that can make companies more efficient, more accountable, more transparent where needed, and ultimately can help make the world a fairer and better place. And companies want that, right? They're all looking into the technology. It's just that the crypto space has been tarnished by so many hacks and so much, not as we have seen since last October, unfortunately. That's not easy to overcome, but I'm sure we will.
Yeah, I'm kind of an offshoot to this too. I mean, the EU has the Digital Services Act, which I believe gets enacted in 2024 around e-commerce and data privacy and content moderation as it relates to hate speech. Again, that framework is in place, to your point, because it's not quite as politicized as it is here, unfortunately. So if we strip that away, what does the future of blockchain look like with AI and these newer technologies? And of course, keeping cybersecurity concerns in the foreground?
I would say that until now, and to this day, many people live under the impression that blockchain consists mainly of Bitcoin on the one side, being the pure form of money that the likes of Michael Saylor want us to believe, the self-sovereign ideal form of money. And then there is Ethereum, which is sort of the internet of blockchain. And that narrative, unfortunately, is wrong and is, especially this year, we come to the realization that Bitcoin is just another blockchain. You can do ordinals, you can do inscriptions, you can put your NFTs on Bitcoin. That sort of shocked the Bitcoin maximalists at the start of the year. And on the other hand, we are realizing that Ethereum is, in blockchain terms, a very old technology, right? It's over 10 years old. It's a patchwork of things. It's got layers and all sorts of problems that arise from its age. And the fact that there are so many people out there building better, faster, more modern, more suitable to specific tasks approaches. So there is a question whether we can make the already dominant Ethereum better and usable for all the applications, or whether we will need alternatives. And in my opinion, the future is multi-chain. I've always said that the last year was not a crypto winter, it was a blockchain spring. And you have so many projects coming up with innovative solutions to privacy, to scalability, to the problem of gas fees. So I'm very optimistic for the next few years of a number of projects coming to the fore that are revolutionary and very useful for specific industries, for trade finance, for shipping, supply chain, the medical industry. Until now, we've had very general blockchains. They were all-purpose blockchains. Now we need to get into the nitty-gritty of making blockchains useful for a specific use case.
Yeah. Well, what are the use cases, as an example, of a project outside of Ethereum that you think is going to have a game-changing practical application?
Well, first of all, one of the most focused projects I'm aware of is XDC, the Xinfin network, which is a blockchain that from the start included the realization that transparency everywhere is not good, that certain things need to stay private. So it's got a very good solution for privacy. And it is entirely focused on the trade and trades finance sector. I don't know of any other project that was born with and still stays true to this focus on trade finance. There are a number of other blockchain projects that are finding their niche in enterprise solutions. For example, Casper Network is a fantastic project that was originally also born out of the Ethereum developer community. And Casper with a C is focusing on enterprise dApps. It may be that companies like SAP feel threatened by having your enterprise software run on a blockchain. And that is what Casper does with extreme focus. There are lots and lots of others. It's part of my work to find them and identify the ones that have real world use cases.
Well, Dr. Hiesboeck, we appreciate your insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you, Jill.